Hey everybody, this is Joel Stottlemyre. I'm here in my hot pink bedroom with the big black polka dots, and we are here for the Dryden Weekly Hangout. Those of you who know what Dryden is, turn your brains off for a second because I'm going to give that standard introduction that I give every week. And then we're going to meet a new member of the family. Oh, I'm very excited. All right, so the Dryden experiment. What we do is we take environments, science fiction environments, horror environments, fantasy environments, you name the environments, and we build big space planets, histories, origins of the universe, whatever that genre needs, and we put it under the Creative Commons along with art, books, stories, and games so that anybody can come in and they can work in that environment, and all they need to do is acknowledge where they got the material from and put their material under the Creative Commons license as well. So what that allows us to do is build really big, huge Star Wars, Lord of the Rings sized universes where everybody can come together, whether you're an artist or a game designer or an author, and you can work with a lot of like-minded people to build really cool stuff that you still own, but that has the scale of everybody else's work behind it. And then the other thing that does for us is we all get out and promote each other and support each other's work, so we get a lot more market reach. And it's just a lot of fun. We have a great time. I run a very small publishing house on the side of that called Dryden House Publishing. Tracy Vincent, who's with us today, is our chief editor for Dryden House. And what we do is we provide services exclusively for folks who are working in the Dryden universe. So if you'd like a book layout or a book cover or some editing done or something like that, we help with that. But you don't have to do that. Dan Hunt, who's with us this evening, publishes through iUniverse, and we love him anyway. So it's just a really big, open, fun concept, and we are really going gangbusters. You're going to hear some really exciting things that are going on tonight. But before we do that, what I want to do is just let everybody who's with us here today, and we may have Nicholas Mull join us here in a few minutes, we're not sure, but I'm going to go right down the list as I see people and let them introduce themselves and talk about what it is that they're doing in Dryden, and just be friendly. So Dan Hunt, you are far left. Why don't you introduce yourself to us and let us know what you're working on?
Okay, I'm Dan Hunt on the far end. Well, I've just finished finally my collection of short stories. It's back at the publisher for design phase.
Excellent.
It's taken me a while because I got distracted with a novel that was supposed to finish out that collection. And so I ended up with 2 books out of what I was doing, which is good. And then I've started into another Dryden-esque piece, which is more of a new war, cyber new war type of thing, that I've been working on recently. So hopefully that'll come out. Yeah, I'll wrap that up, and then I'll throw in another one, and that'll give me another book. So I think there are 2 novellas that I'm working on.
Excellent, excellent. And Dan, you hinted around about you've already got a book in press. What would that be?
Eclipse of the Fire Sea.
Right on, right on.
Science fiction, if you like robots and weird, funky things, then it's actually kind of a mix between our traditional hard sci-fi and there's a little bit of opera in it, so you can have a little bit of fun.
The eclipsing of Cyrus C happens kind of off on the side. A lot of the stuff in the science fiction universe happens around the 3 big corporations that are closest to Earth. Dan established a really nice environment a little bit farther out, and the plug that I have to give that book every time we talk about it is that some of the cinematographics in that book are really cinematographic. I mean, there are moments where you're flying over icy moons or explosions are happening around you, and I just got so wrapped up in it the first time I read it. I was just like, oh, I gotta put this down for a minute. So I really very recommend Eclipsing of Cyrus C. Where would you go if you wanted to buy a copy of that, Dan?
Anywhere that you like to buy books.
Excellent. So Amazon, Barnes & Noble?
Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Books A Million, they got it. And
do you think it's on Kobo?
Probably, and I think you can buy it overseas, all throughout Europe, and I know you can buy it in Japan if you want to.
Woohoo!
It might be fun to order it from Japan and have them deliver it here, because that would be different.
Ship it from Amazon Japan. One of the things that I do One of the things that I do to entertain myself is go on to Amazon Japan every once in a while and look our books up because I can't read it at all. But it's just fun to see the picture of our book and then all those Japanese characters. I'm like, we're in Japan.
Yay.
All right, that's awesome, and we're glad to have you with us, Dan. Dan also participated on the Rise of the European project, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a minute. And also in the Rise of the European project was Eugene Kelly III. Eugene, would you like to say hello to everybody and let us know what's going on in your world?
Okay, yeah, hi. My name is Eugene Kelly. As Bill said, I'm a member of the I'm one of the authors of Rise of the European. I give a I sort of tell a story from the point of view of the European, gives a kind of a feeling of the world between the two. So what I'm working on is besides that is I've begun the beginning stages of a short story collection for Dryden, character by the name of Okuda. That's probably going to be talked about a little bit later on, I'm not sure. But
Yep.
that. Then also there's going to be a major project that I've got sort of two big projects I'm trying to focus on. One of them is a novel, sci-fi novel, which is actually not connected to Dryden, and then another one is a beginnings of a story. I don't know if it'll become sort of short stories or novels or what, which is going to take place in the Dryden universe. It's tentatively at this point called Empire of the Carnosaurs, and it deals with sort of underground living dinosaur, predatory dinosaurs living underground, and then later on the dark gods of the.
Excellent. And, you know, the thing I will say about Eugene, it's one thing to say, oh, well, I write some kind of dark things and some kind of spooky things. You know, I showed some of Eugene's work to Cthulhu, and Cthulhu was like, whoa, dude, that's creepy. Eugene writes really intense, dark, interesting prose. Yeah, we're not sure exactly where that comes from, but yeah, don't ever like draw a circle of power around Eugene or anything, because we're very concerned about what would happen. So really, really excellent stuff that comes out of Eugene. He does appear in Rise of the European, and we're going to talk about that. And he's planning to appear in Akuta, and we're going to talk about that. And he's appearing in Nightmares, and we're going to talk about that. So we'll be back to Eugene Kelly III and more as we go through the evening. And our newest player, Kat Haywood. Kat, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let you start talking about who you are and what you do, and then I'll say nice things about it when we get to the end.
Oh, thanks, Alan. Well, I'm Kat Haywood. I am the artist of 3, so I'm the 3rd in the Big Damn Space Battles, and I get to do all the amazing Terra artwork. So I get to create what I think is a physical sort of manifestation of what the guys are talking about, and it's really, really, really fun. I've also read Eugene's stuff. My God, my brain, just amazing. You need to read it, that's all. But yeah, no, I get to do a lot of the creative cool stuff that the guys are making the visuals for. So very, very pleased to be part of it, and very, very thankful to be on board.
Now, Kat, I understand that you have actually worked in game design before.
I have, with the good doctor, Dr. Nicholas.
Yeah.
And that was over the top. So the poor man got to see firsthand what it's like working with a crazy artist. It's good fun. But he got me to do a whole heap of his design works and things like that, and we worked from start to finish together. He survived, so we did well, really well, because he had all these ideas, and I sat down and I went, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? Have you thought of this? He goes, oh my God, no, stop, please. But no, we got together and got some really, really good ideas happening, and from him I met you guys. So thank you very kindly, Dr. Nick, wherever you are in the space world.
Right on. So Nicholas Small, Dr. Nick, and he is real honest-to-goodness doctor in everything, and has the piece of paper to prove it. It's official. That's right. And he was particular about it. I kept saying, "Can we call you Dr. Nick yet?" And he said, "Not yet." "Can we call you Dr. Nick yet?" And he said, "Not yet." Finally, one day he said, "Okay, you can call me Dr. Nick now." So it is official. The full Monty Dr. Nick runs Owlman Press with his wife Stack, and they write the most interesting literary games. Nick views role-playing games as a modern form of literature, which I think is a really interesting and really pretty accurate thing to say. And so when he designs games, they are interesting, and they have interesting story elements and design elements that you would expect to see in literature, which is a really cool thing. And his first project with us was Big Damn Dryden, which is our role-playing game. And his second project is Big Damn Space Battles, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute. But prior to all of that, he did a game called Over the Top, and Kat Haywood was the artist. So when we were talking about artists who should be involved in Big Damn Space Battles, he said, "Well, you know," and introduced us to Kat, and that was awesome. So, Kat, wonderful to have you on board. Welcome aboard. Why don't you say a nice thing or two about that lovely son of yours?
Oh, the lovely son. Yes, no, he is a hyperball of energy. One of the best artworks that I've created, I think, but I had help with that. And he's pretty cool. He's well on his way to being one of the Dryden Universe artists type people. He might even be one of your commentators at some stage. You never know.
That's excellent. You really, how can you tell? We had the good fortune to speak with him for a few minutes before the launch. Unfortunately, the Lego won out in the end. And,
yes. See, I told you, creative. It's a Creative Commons. It's working its way through the universes.
There you go. There you go. And next, we have with us Tracy Vincent, who is the chief editor at Dryden House, and a whole lot of other things. Talk about your amazing people. Tracy, why don't you tell us some of the many, many things that make you so amazing?
I breathe.
She does breathe. I've seen her do it. It's amazing.
You have not seen me do it.
No, that's true. I've never seen you breathe it. I assume that you do because you continue talking. Although Darth Vader talked even, and didn't breathe. It was disjointed, so...
Yeah, well... You guys like to tease me about being Darth Tracy anyway, but
that's right.
No, I edit and I correct Joel, and let's see, what else do I do? I market.
Yes.
I tell Joel when things are going to happen so that they happen.
Because they wouldn't happen. Tracy, tell me that it was the day. So the other day we were getting ready to run our Rise of the Europa promotion, which we're talking about here in a minute, and Tracy wrote this wonderful blurb and put together a nice image for us so that we could spread it around on social media and so on and so forth. She said, "This does not go up until Thursday. Do not post any of this before Thursday. Joel Kate, I'm talking to you," all in caps.
Yep, true story.
So I have a
I also wrote a story.
Yes, you wrote several stories.
I actually have 3 stories. But one's published.
In Rise
one
of the
will
Europa,
be published.
In Lucia Cuda.
And one will be an extra. Which is the other half of the Lucia Cuda. It tells you the other side of the story.
Yes, and it's good and creepy.
And then I have one that I'm working on. It'll happen in 40 years.
Yes.
So that's me. That's what I do.
Awesome.
And I soothe some people's nerves when Joel gets all up in them.
What?
Oh yeah, don't even.
No, people love to work with me.
Until you talk about throwing their stuff in the garbage.
I never said that.
Yes, you did.
Well, aside from the moments when I'm perfect, there are moments when working on a project.
My head hurts. You perfect. Yeah, okay.
Aside from the moments when I'm perfect, we get into projects and we get on timelines and we get into the fuss of things, and I get very, very frustrated. And when I am wise, I call Tracy and I say, I'm about to say something that I will later regret. Occasionally, I get it said before I get in contact with Tracy, and so Tracy does, in fact, occasionally end up kind of going along behind me going, yeah, well, she was a little excited. She'll be back. So, yeah, sorry about anything I may have said in the heat of the moment.
When I was hungry.
When I was hungry.
Oh, yeah.
There is a sort of a famous moment where I meant to tell Tracy that what we wanted to do was edit it down to what we wanted, and what I appear to have said was we were going to throw it in the trash. That's clearly...
Your words were. That entire chapter 8, if it were up to me, I'd just throw it all in the trash.
So and we're going to edit it down to the
chapter.
We're going to edit it down to what we want.
Yeah, and I'm like, So I think I'm not throwing it away. It's mine.
I believe in ruling with an iron fist, and so whenever I need one, I call Tracy. All right. That's who we are, at least this evening. Just thinking about the Dryden experiment as a whole, the other person that you just can't talk about Dryden without mentioning is Gavin Revitt, who is the art director and the other person who actually works for Dryden House. There are 3 of us who work for Dryden House. But we have the most amazing community. When I sent thank yous out at Christmas, I sent them to 34 people. And they were just the most fantastic array of people. They were bloggers who we've worked with, they're artists who we work with, they're authors who we work with, they're people who play tested games for us. As a matter of fact, included in that 34 was the Manhattan Playtest Group, which is I don't even know, 7 or 8 people that have participated in that playtest group. So the community that meets here every week is kind of variable, and we see different people every week. But we are part of a very large community of just really, really awesome people, and we have a really great time. So rather than kind of go straight down the agenda like I usually do, I have 5 things on my list that I want to talk about tonight. But I thought what I would do instead is just kind of open it up and let people ask questions or talk about things that they're thinking about or that they're working on. I know, Dan, you're looking at some different marketing ideas, and of course Eugene is working projects, and I'm sure that Tracy has things that she hasn't reminded me that I'm supposed to do yet. So I just kind of wanted to open it up and see where people were, how things are working for folks.
I have a headache.
Tracy has a headache. Anybody want to help with the headache?
I can draw you pretty things.
She can't draw pretty things. I can vouch for that.
I've seen them.
Yeah.
I can even draw rainbows if need be. Remember, I promised Joel.
Yeah, I'm okay with no rainbows. I'm a Batsmaru kind of girl.
Well, I can do like a black and a brown and a grey rainbow for you.
Oh, now see, now you're talking my language.
See, now we're at that moment where if I say what I'm going to think next, I'm going to hear from Tracy for the next 6 years.
You will. So be wise, darling, be wise.
It just hurts. You get this pain inside. You're going, don't say that. Your body's going, I don't care. Say it.
See, I'm here to entertain, my dear.
I'm going to cry now because it's trying to leak out.
Oh, Lord.
All right.
Tears.
Okay, that one with a proper project instead of my rainbows.
All right. So all right. We're a mess. All right. So I'm going to jump into topics. Tracy's headache was the response that we got. It's my job to give Tracy headaches, and somebody else has done it today, and I'm feeling a little out of sorts about that. Well, you know what? I'm gonna start with Rise of the Europe, and Tracy, in case Nick wants to jump in,
Sure.
we can talk about big down space battles with Nick too.
Sure.
All right. So the book that we launched in last fall was Rise of the European, which is a really awesome story. It happens in 2700, and it's sort of the last day that the humans are in charge of local space in our science fiction universe. And Eugene, Dan, and Tracy all participated in that story. It's built as a collection of short stories. It's about 70,000 words. Gavin did the cover and did a piece of music for it, and it was totally fabulous. And I got the idea that we should try launching it on Black Friday because everybody's buying things on Black Friday, and maybe that would work for us. And it was a disaster. We got run over. Everybody between Thanksgiving and Christmas is too busy to buy a book that this friend of yours wrote. And we just got bowled under. So what we decided to do was come back after the new year, give everybody a couple of weeks to get back into the normal routine, and then run a 99-cent sale on the book, which runs from today, or from last Thursday till next Thursday, so it's 5 more days. It's available, I'll put the link below, it's available on Smashwords and Amazon and everywhere, Barnes & Noble
Barnes
and everywhere.
Noble, Kobo, iBooks.
At 99 cents, which is a hell of a deal because normally even the e-version is $3.99. And what we're finding is there's a lot of second contact people out there, people who, when they see the Facebook post by whichever the authors go, oh yeah, I was going to do that. And we're starting to sort of pick back up the sales that we should have had when we launched the book. And we didn't get them, so I'll post the link here, and we are sort of spamming Facebook, and we've got a chat going over there on Facebook with all of the authors, sort of keeping track of who's putting messages where. The thing that I want to make sure and say to folks that are participating in that who may see this, when you see a post on Facebook, if you only like it, that does not increase how much visibility the post gets. If you also comment on it or share it, then Facebook ranks it higher and more people will see it. So if you happen to see me posting in, there's several groups out there that are 99-cent ebook groups, and so I'm spending this week spamming away at them. If you share that post or comment on that post, it will get shown to more people in that group. If you only like the post, it doesn't actually help it, although your friends will see that you liked it. So if you'll sometimes see Tracy and I commenting back and forth to each other on a post, and exactly what we're doing is sort of gaming the system there and trying to gain as much visibility as we can. It's not real clear to me how much impact we're having because I can't see iBook, I can't see Nook, I can't see really anything but KDP and sales directly on Smashwords, but I can see that we are having an impact. Today and tomorrow are actually our biggest days, should be, if we do a good job of getting the word out there. So 99 cents, pick up the book, or if you participate in the development of the book, pick up that wonderful copy that Tracy wrote for you and sent you in your email and share it with everybody that you know because they owe you one for some reason. So that's Rise of the European. And anybody have any comments? Did I miss anything, Tracy?
Well,
No.
Go for it, Eugene.
Well, I'd say I actually, I own a hard copy. I just for the heck of it bought a 99-cent copy today. As you know, I posted up a bunch of places, so I think that probably helps. I'll keep trying to see if I can get. I'll actually tell my parents maybe they're willing to buy it.
Awesome. I saw some of those posts that you put out on some of the forums that you're a member of, and they look great. I thought that was great. And some of the posts that Tracy put out were really encouraging too, because we saw some great responses on them from people going, "Oh yeah." One person immediately said, "Oh, I went and got it. I meant to do that." So those second and third contacts are definitely what are bringing us back to where we should have been with the launch. And that's my disaster, and I own trying to repair it. So everybody should quit what they're doing and help me fix my problems.
On it. I may not be getting a second or a third, but I have shared. I am working on it. I'm getting there.
Awesome. Yeah, so we are, and this is just sort of a general note, and Dan, this will be interesting to you too. We have started using a little bit of paid advertising. We spent $20 on the first launch of the Kickstarter and got $20 in backers. And as long as we can do that, we can advertise. We tried the same thing with Rise of the European, and we're not getting our returns, so we pulled it down. But we are experimenting around with places where we can get our money back for our advertising. So that's something we've started exploring, and we're doing that on a college student's budget. So when I say some money, either that or a burger and a fries. Then the next project that's coming that I sent a message out about today and got some nice positive responses to is we have an NPC in the role-playing game called Lucia Kuda, and she is an assassin.
She's hot.
And she's hot. She's very hot. Gavin drew her, and yeah, he's good at that. Sometimes I want to date his imagination, which gets a little awkward.
Weird. Oh my god. I'm all weird.
I think we just hurt Tracy. You alright?
Okay.
She already had a headache. You've snowballed it. Come on.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, she's very attractive, and she's a Japanese woman who wanders around with Dr. Nick has joined us.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Dr. Mall. We launched a little bit early. We had a pretty good crowd here, and folks were chatty, so we went ahead and launched. I'm talking about Lucia Kuda, but we'll come back and talk about Big Damn Space Battles here in just a second, and I'll also have you introduce yourself here in just a second. So we are, a lot of folks like that character. She has her own fan page on Facebook, and we decided it would be fun to do a short story collection. She's interesting because she's an assassin, but she has a wire in her brain that causes her to forget every job once she finishes it. So she has no idea who she's killed or why. She keeps mementos, but she doesn't know what they're mementos of. And Dr. Mall is looking at presenting a story in that. Gavin is looking at bringing a story into that. I'm bringing a story into that. I think Eugene is bringing a story into that. So we're sort of intentionally not tying them together. I don't know how many of you remember, oh Lord, I don't remember her name, Aeon Flux from the MTV cartoon. They were sort of non sequitur. If you watched one Aeon Flux and then another one, you didn't really know if you were watching the same storyline or not. And so we've sort of invited people. We've set this premise. The year is 2503. She's an assassin. She's from Japan. We have her full history. But the stories, we're not asking people to check each other's stories. We're just going to put them together and be a little cheval noir in that regard. And we're looking at draft on the 1st of March, and so far everybody seems to be of the opinion that that's a reasonable goal. So that story is coming. Let's go ahead and stop there. I'm going to mark off the things that I actually got talked about so that when I come back in a minute I'll be able to figure out what all these arrows mean. And allow Dr. Mall to introduce himself. Why don't you tell us who you are and how you're doing, Dr. Mall?
Well, I'll start off with how I'm doing. I'm doing well, if not a little sleepy. That's the immense cup of tea. No, I'm Dr. Nicholas William Mole from here in Ballarat. I prefer Nick. Calling myself doctor everywhere I go seems ostentatious. Yeah, and I've just been, well, at the moment, I was just writing actually that story in question. Mythical collection. So it was, yes, very fortuitous. And aside from that, I've been rapidly playtesting Big Damn Space Battles and resuming play for the year of Big Damn Dryden.
Excellent. Wonderful. Yeah. So let's talk about Big Damn Space Battles, and I actually have a couple of kind of businessy questions for you, and then we'll also do a little bit of talk just sort of for people who are watching the video later. Your comment about the redo of the Kickstarter, I couldn't tell if that comment meant that you thought that the video played okay or that your internet was working okay.
No, that meant that my internet was working okay for a brief time. The video kind of half worked for me, and that's more a statement about Sebastopol, which is the part of Ballarat I live in, Sebastopol's current internet, than it is actually about the video, so I haven't actually been able to watch it as yet. Okay. It's sort of been in and out. I haven't been able to watch any videos online for the last 4 hours. That's a statement about our internet in the area, not a statement about the video.
Right on. What I did is I remixed your audio using an MP4 formatting
Yep.
tool, and I got a much better response. You know, we had that really quiet Nick was talking.
Yeah.
And I got a much better response, so I reposted your original audio. That is exactly
Cool.
the audio you sent me. So the question is it still audible? So we just need to get it a listen to. And then tell us how playtesting is going. What's happened?
Well, since the last couple of playtests, not much. Actually, I don't think there hasn't actually been a lot of tweaking for the rules. There's been sort of a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's kind of either at the point where it's fine or it needs to be taken away from people who have been intimately writing it. One of the two. My knee jerk would be that the rules are kind of as far as the first draft goes, as far as a launch edition, are about as ready to go as they're going to get. And then once they're out there in the wild, we'll have all sorts of get all sorts of feedback and ideas to tweak it with. Wargame is a bit different to a role-play game where, unlike role-play games where you kind of need that core book to sit and be a nice base for you to build expansions and whatnot on. There's the expectation that war games will be getting tweaked all the time and that there'll be a ranta and little corrections and different editions of the rulebook sort of just kind of rolling out every now and then.
Right on. Chelsea confirmed that she is going to play this weekend.
Cool.
So I don't know when she's going to play, but she may have already, but she is definitely going to play. So now that we've talked all the business, let's introduce Big Damn Space Battles to people. Can I do this part? Because I like this part.
Yeah, you're good at this part.
So Nick and I are having this conversation. Nick wrote Big Damn Dryden, our role-playing game, and we got some fabulous art out of folks to put in there. Gavin Revitt did these wonderful maps for us and blah, blah, blah. And Nick and I are talking about it one day, and it's like, and I commented, I said, I think it would be great to do a miniatures war game, and have war battles in space, but minis are too expensive. There's no way we're ever going to capitalize the expense of building minis. And Nick goes, oh, well, if I was going to do it, what I would do is I would put them on playing cards. And I said, what do you mean you'd put them on playing cards? He goes, well, it's easy. You just print your ship on a playing card, and then you market that as your game because your cards just move around your deck. And then there was this quiet because of all the awesome in the room. And, of course, that's what you do. Shit. Well, let's do that. And Nick has written us a really fun and exciting game. I played it the first time I played it. There were no cards or anything. I'm trying to see if I still have them sitting here. I played them on these cards because we didn't have templates or models or anything. We've play tested in Ballarat several times now. We're play testing in Manhattan. I've play tested here in Topeka. It's an exciting game. That's why Kat is here with us today. She came in as one of our artists. We brought in Don Van Osdal out of Salmon, Idaho as one of our artists, and Charlotte Garnier, who is in, I think she's the one in Quebec.
I think she's from Quebec, yeah.
Yeah, French Canada somewhere anyway, and who is a very, very talented artist who invented the Il Saltaire, which are the cybernetic space whales that exist in our universe, which if you haven't run across our cybernetic space whales, we have cybernetic space whales. You should really stop by and check them out because they are pretty awesome. So Nick put this rule set together. We brought together this fabulous team. We launched a Kickstarter in the first week of January and discovered we wanted to make a rules revision, discovered that there was an error in the Kickstarter, and discovered that somehow I had never explained to Gavin, who is the art director for the project, what we were doing. So we pulled the Kickstarter down, reorganized ourselves, and we'll be relaunching it this week with the actual cards built by the actual art director who actually knows what's going on now because I explained it. And poor Gavin, he kept telling me, well, I don't know that I really have what I need to go ahead. Well, I think I need a better vision before I can really go ahead. And finally, Nick, Gavin, and I got together on one call, which was really exciting because we live 13 time zones, 14 time zones apart. All together on a meeting, and Gavin, I just felt so bad for him. I kept going, okay, so that's what we're going to do, and Gavin kept going, I don't really understand that. I was like, is it because I never told you? Well, so are we? Do we know what we want the card layouts to look like? And I've had card layouts in hand for 2 weeks, and I was like, well, maybe I failed to send you those. Well, how much of the art do we actually have? Well, we have all of the art. Did I not?
You fell apart when I went offline for that week, didn't you?
Well, Tracy, why do you think I pay you so much to save
Oh
my
my
ass?
gosh, you pay me so much. Listen,
Oh dear, I don't pay Tracy a lot, but she makes as much as I do, literally.
This is true.
Literally, Tracy makes $1 for every dollar I make. So if we ever make a lot, Tracy will too. And it's because she saves my ass. But yes, I fell apart when you weren't there to keep me together. If that's the answer that you're looking for. So weird. Somebody's laughing. I can't even tell who it is. I'm just mocked. So we have the Kickstarter back together. We're trying to do last reviews. As you see, Nick is having some trouble playing the video, but I think that the video is solid. I had tried to do a data compression format to make the video small and compact, and when you played it back on Kickstarter, Nick was talking like this. I kept getting all these comments, so I can't hear the audio. I can't tell what that guy's talking about, and the play through was varying between 3 and 5% of people who actually finished the video. So we decided that since we weren't finished, it's no harm in pulling it down and just relaunching it. So that should happen, I'm going to guess, on Thursday of this week. That's a guess, because we have to get Kickstarter's approval and we have to make sure that the audio is actually audible to people other than me before we launch it. So that looks good. So Nick, why don't you take a minute and talk about Owlman Press and about the other projects that you've worked on. We've introduced Kat as the artistic genius behind Over the Top, and talk about the other things that you're working on with Dryden.
All right. Well, I think. What do you want me to start with? Do you want me to start with Owlman or Dryden?
Start with Owlman so that we have a context for the work you're doing with Dryden.
All right. Well, Owlman Press started back in 2012, where I launched a game called Frankenstein Atomic Frontier, which I think we've talked about in previous videos. It's a patchwork post-apocalyptic western where you play basically a Frankenstein monster, a super soldier engineered from recycled parts of other soldiers for the greatest and final war that exterminated humanity. And now you're in this sort of frontier, like post-apocalypse, where you've got to try to learn to survive and thrive in a world that's now absent humankind. And from there, you know, I started developing. We did quite a few supplements for Frankenstein Atomic Frontier. It's currently on a little bit of hiatus while I guess while the inspiration well kind of wells up, and we'll come back to that again one day. But we since did other games. I think the most pertinent one of which, besides of course Over the Top, because Kat's here, is Big Damn Sci-Fi. And Big Damn Sci-Fi was a game that I produced with my wife Stacy, because my wife quite likes playing role-play games. But you know, sometimes when you look at those 300-page rule books, or in the case of Dungeons and Dragons, that succession of 300-page rule books and then all these supplements, the rules get a bit mind-boggling, and we kind of went, why don't we make a rule book as small as possible, and we'll call it ironically Big Damn whatever. So we're both quite fans of science fiction, particularly space opera, and the rubbery face kind of alien stuff. And so we produced a core rulebook with all the rules you need to play and character creation and whatnot in 2,000 words, and we put that on the market.
Which is awesome.
Yes, it is. Also very, very rare, which is even more awesome. You know, once you're in Tasmanian tiger territory, everything's cool. Tasmanian tigers are meant to be extinct, but they're kind of like, there's sightings and all that. So it's kind of like, are they extinct or are they just really rare? And there's all stuff there about functional extinction versus actual extinction, and et cetera, et cetera. At any rate, once you're in Tasmanian tiger territory, it's really cool. speaking of big damn sci-fi, we recently put out, we've been putting out a succession of supplements. We recently put out one a couple of days ago called Dungeon Amongst the Stars, which a lot of my combat systems, it's often commented are literary rather than literal, meaning that there's no miniature or battle map. So it's like I'm standing by the door, and that's kind of the extent to which space is discussed in most of my games, and then you kind of just navigate yourself around the terrain in a literary way. I've had one playtester for a number of years, Aaron Vizers, who really kind of like he likes his combat in the miniature format, and he likes to know things like, well, what type of leather or material is the couch made out of in case I need to set it on fire. So with players such as him in mind, we brought out a supplement recently called Dungeon Amongst the Stars, which is fully compatible with Big Damn Dryden, I should add.
Awesome.
That creates basically miniature battle map rules. So if you want that sort of really precise, I can move 5 steps, I can shoot this far kind of rule system without actually breaking anything else in this wonderful book or your other Big Damn sci-fi core rule book, you can just pick it up and there's your miniature battle map rules, all play tested for fun. Yeah, so that's Owlman Press to date, and there's kind of like a number of projects kind of sitting there in the work for Owlman Press in 2016. There's more over the top coming out that I'm currently sort of madly scribbling amongst everything else. There's a multiversal superhero game called Verge, which is it's past the play stage of playtesting. Now it's in the play with a few tweaks kind of stage, and we've been doing that for a few months now down here in Ballarat. And there's also something that kind of keeps getting brought up and then put back and brought up and put back, and that's Victor's Era, which is another Frankenstein game, not so much Frankenstein Atomic Frontier, but a steampunk Frankenstein game that's just sitting there sort of in the works, and there's sort of a draft of the rulebook that we kind of ad hocly play tested at 2 a.m. the other morning when I had mates around for a few drinks, and they went, we want to play that. And it's like, okay, we're all kind of like sleepy, and we've all got kids to get up to, and we've all got to go home at some point, but sure, let's do it. So that's Owlman House. It's kind of a one-man with some very good friends such as Dryden House, House of Ideas, an artistic approach to role-playing games. Okay, so now the kind of things then that I kind of, I guess, do for, with, under, around Dryden House, on the roof, fixing the shingles. Are things like Big Damn Dryden, which is an adaptation. It's kind of like it's an adaptation of the Dryden universe to Big Damn Sci-Fi's rules, an adaptation of the Big Damn Sci-Fi rules to the Dryden universe. I feel like that's underselling it sometimes. I mean, that's been the byline since the word go. But in many ways, it's like the definitive, I guess, Big Damn Sci-Fi rulebook. It takes the kind of the rules and then expands them outwards, and it adds a big, beautiful universe to those and we've been, I think, very fortunate in that we've all been kind of like happy, smiling, good enough to share our ideas with each other and let each other into our houses and work very, very, very well and very happily and very collegially together. And that's kind of become the main game I've been developing for a while now, and the main sort of focus of my game design interests.
Nick, why don't you reflash that cover for us?
Sure, I'll do it the right way around this time.
There you go.
Actually, and there's the lovely Miss Akuda, who we were just talking about.
The lovely Miss Akuda, that's
on the cover.
Gavin built, yes. Yeah. Wonderful, yep. All right, thank you. I'm sort of proud of that and like to see it around.
It is a very, very cool thing. I actually had one of my playtesters who, one of my players, because we kind of did the original playtest script and a bunch of people sort of had to leave for various reasons. We've changed nights, and so one of them came back, and he hadn't seen the print book before he came back, and he's like, oh my god, it's here in print, and he refused to use any of the supplementary material in making his character. It was quite good. Because he wanted the book.
It's Lucy.
Yes.
It is Lucy.
It's Lucy Akuda herself. Yep. Awesome.
So I guess on top of that book, we've got the Bleeding Mind Out and About. That is the psychic supplement that kind of covers, I guess, the blind spot or the sort of in those core rules where it expands out your use of Arcana to a variety of areas, and also adds a variety of new elements both to the rule system and the Dryden universe. We've got Patrons and Vassals is the next one in the works that deals with small governments and corporations, including actually the cybernetic space whales get rules in there, and there's actually rules there to play a space whale if you want.
Awesome. And you know, Charlotte is eager to work with you on that project. She messaged me the other day to ask me when you wanted to start working.
Well, the rules are ready to go. So if she wants to actually kind of
Awesome.
pick up the book and play, and I'll send her a copy of the Patrons and Vassals draft as it's being built. She can kind of
Excellent.
look over
Wonderful.
it and give the whales a stamp of approval. There is actually 3 different kinds of whale that are available for, or Il Solitaire that are available for player characters. That's sort of 3 main hybrid forms. There's sort of the mermaid. I forget what they're actually called, but there's sort of like the humanoid mermaid type one.
Right.
Then there's the sort of one that's a mermaid but it's got a dolphin's head, and then there's the humanoid whale, the humanoid blue whale that's in there, and that's sort of like, so you've kind of got like, you know, your average citizen, your scientist, and your kind of military grade tank that can quite happily take on some Geist Marines. Possibly, I don't know. I see Dan's there, so maybe he'll I don't know, disagree and yeah.
You know,
I think the whales fit in a can, and the guys just eat them out of the can straight off.
Oh
No!
Ooh, we got WRE's whale ready to eat. The gauntlet has been thrown down.
Ooh, it's getting hot up in here.
When it gets time for the board game, it's going to be whales versus Marines all the way.
I could get behind designing that. Well, combat battle, skirmish battle game like Tannhauser or something, or what should we call it, like Space Hold, and it's like on one side you've got the Geist Marines, on the other side you've got the Il Solitaire. They meet in the middle somewhere, and
we've got a balance.
Time.
We've got a balanced play between 1 whale and 30 Marines so that it's an even fight. The dice on that
power arm is pretty nasty.
We're going to eat the Il Solitaire out of a can. Let me know, maybe you and I can sort of talk on the side, Nick. We have a little bit of a language barrier working with Charlotte. Her primary language is French, and she does speak English, but sometimes you kind of want to take a minute and say it twice and make sure that it was understood as said. We had a problem a little while ago with someone we thought we had communicated with, not in French, but in another language, and then we discovered that we had not. So, but I'd be happy to take that conversation offline with you and get you and her talking. I think she wants to bring some new art, which would be fabulous.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, so she is very talented. For those of you who have seen the drawing of the young woman with the galaxy as a head, that is my profile picture. That is Charlotte's work. I bought that from her because I loved it so much.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's an awesome, awesome image. All right, I'm sorry, I sort of interrupted you.
No, that's cool. Because I guess that brings us back round to Big Damn Space Battles, which is, I guess, the other sort of main thing, and that's been sort of, I guess, the main bit of play testing, with emphasizing the testing over the play at the moment, and that is, as Joel said, that's a miniature-based Starship war game. Instead of miniatures, however, we've got cards that you put down. So it's kind of like really, I guess, stripping the cost out of wargaming.
Yes.
I guess
Yes.
on all fronts, especially for the consumer. You buy your army or your fleet, rather, in a deck. The deck has everything you need to play sort of a small scale to a large, massive fleet battle game. And that's really it. It's got everything except dice in there. It's got the ruler, it's got the turn signal, it's got the terrain. Pardon?
I can draw that. I draw you guys.
I think that Gavin has got that done. He sent us a thing that says he's got the templates built, and that's part of the template. So I think that he's got that done, but I haven't seen it yet. So maybe I'm assuming incorrectly. And there's a kind of an innovation that kind of took it to the next level for me. We were talking about how to put the information on the cards, because the game is very flexible. You have upgrades for your ships, so depending on the style of play you have, you can customize your ship. And so what Nick's suggestion was is you just have the ship card be the ship without details or facts or information on it, and you have a little card off on the side that's the fact card, and it ends up being a setup. You know, if you look at some of those games, I was watching this zombie game where you had this sideboard where you kept track of your resources and so on it. We have incorporated that level of complexity on a playing card, because we have the playing card sitting off on the side with the upgrades under it. That is your information card, and then your cards themselves are out there moving on the board. So it's a little bit genius. I also want to greet a viewer who is watching us. I sort of suspect that's Rebecca, come in to hang out with us from the outside, but if not, whoever you are, welcome, and we're happy to see you. And Rebecca, if it's you, we're happy to see you as well. So hi there to our viewer.
Hello.
As we are doing this broadcast, we are also visible as a live stream on YouTube, and occasionally folks, you know, we have followers, and occasionally folks come in and join us, and someone has chosen to do so. So I wanted to stop and acknowledge whoever that is who's watching from the outside rather than the inside. All right, I'm sorry, Nick, go ahead.
I'll actually just premise that the idea for having the card to the sideline didn't actually come from me. That came from one of our playtesters here in Ballarat, Adrian Coford. He's sort of the leader of the Alternative Wargames group. He hates the title Guru, even though I feel like he's thoroughly earned it as far as wargaming goes. Well, and I think that's about it. Right, we got the rule book kind of coming to I've got the final notes. We're just going to do a bit of a revision on, you know, movement style and function. Yeah, and I've got to just sort of give that sort of slight variation of movement a bit of a play test at some point.
Now, all right, wonderful, and we should have one of the reasons why we asked Chelsea to play test for us was to have somebody who wasn't involved in the development play test. So you know, that's sort of an important measure of the rules. Are these rules that only make sense because I wrote them? And so we have,
because we're all intimately sort of fawning over them in mad love.
It made perfect sense in my head. I suffer this a lot when I write. So Chelsea is doing us a very valuable service this weekend by playtesting blind for us, so that we can get the questions back that are obvious to us who built it and not obvious to somebody from the outside. And Rebecca did confirm that's Rebecca. Hi, we're so happy to have you with us.
Hi, Rebecca.
So now I have this sort of unfortunate story to tell about Australia and my experiences with Australia, because Tracy and Nick and I were talking about something the other day, and I don't remember what it was, but Nick says, wow, that sounds like a drop bear attack.
Oh, God.
I go, drop bear? What the hell is a drop bear? So Nick sends
I'm done.
this article about these drop bears that are these relatives of the koala, except they will hang around in trees and they're ambush predators. They'll drop out of the tree, and I'm like, oh my God, Australia is the most hostile environment in the whole world. You can't walk down the street because the goddamn drop bears will. And then I started going, you know, there's no source citations on any of this or mentions of what the range is. There's a lot of not science in this. So I Googled it, and it's bullshit. And so Nick had me.
It's snipes, honey.
Yeah, I was hunting for snipes in Australia. So 2 points to Nick, because I went straight in and was ranting about the evils of the Australian outback. How awful it would be to have drop bears.
There are so many other real things that would try and kill you, but that was so beautifully done.
Well, you know, that's part of the reason why I was there to believe it, because one of the things that they say about Australia is where everything in the wildlife is attempting to kill you. You know, and you see videos of giant scorpions and spiders with legs, or, you know, snakes with legs. God knows what. You don't dare walk on the beach barefoot because you'll step on the poisoned fish and kill yourself. So drop bears, I went for it. Yeah, drop bears. God, Australia. Whoo, that's a scary-ass place, Australia, because of the drop bears. I'm glad that I wasn't like in a pub with all of my Australian friends going on about the drop bears. So I just wanted to stop and mention that I was owned earlier in the week. It was Nicholas who did it, so 2 points, Nick.
Nice work, Doctor. Nice work. But I will come to your defense, darling. I
Admittedly,
will come to your defense.
it was inadvertent. 'Cause I just kind of made the drop bear related comment, and then it's like, what's a drop bear? It's like, oh, this explains what a drop bear is. It's like, but there's no references. No one
So that was the one I was like, the heck is a drop bear? Because I've never heard of it, I'll be honest. And then I'm reading the article, and as I'm reading the article, I'm like, what? It's not right.
Look,
and Joel finally comes up and says, no, they're not real.
Drop bears have been a meme for like
Something
a
just not
long
quite
time.
right. No, if it helps coming from born in the place type of situation scenario, I still believed it for at least 3 weeks when I first came across it.
Well, the article finally started to bug me because I was like, it's just not sciencey enough. This looks like shit that somebody just put on a page. And so I Googled it and found out that I had been owned, but not before I made several protestations about the hostility of the Australian outbacks.
I guess, admittedly, though, if a koala does actually fall out of a tree and land on you, it probably will injure you quite badly.
It would,
Well,
yes.
But they're not going to jump.
Kind of mean.
We watched the upshot of all of that was that we watched all of those Z Frank's True Facts videos, and his one on marsupials, which involves koala bears, is a work of rare genius. Anyway, all right, I'm on to the serious and important things we were talking about.
Tracy has the headache.
Yes. I think that probably as the further we go into this conversation, the more and more people are going, well, she works with Joel. In response to the question, why does Tracy have a headache?
You should have seen my husband yesterday, Joel, when I was on the phone with you. Because I was pacing
Oh, yeah.
back and forth to the living room. And I'm talking, and he's like, can you make me some coffee? Because he can't do it first thing in the morning either. And for him, that was first thing in the morning. And I'm like, it'll have to wait a minute. And then he's like, but you just told me you gotta go.
Tracy and I are talking on the phone, and all of a sudden she goes, it's going to have to wait, it's going to have to wait. Talking to her husband, and I'm like, what's the matter? Because obviously she's not doing something, so she could talk to me, and she goes, I have to go to the bathroom so bad I can't boil water right now.
I can't turn on a faucet. I have to pee.
Tracy, just hang up the phone, man. Yes, so, all right. My fearsome
But
leadership
that's
at work again.
Day in the life of Joel calling Tracy. I hadn't talked to you in a few days. What do I gotta do?
It was very sad. All right, so the Nightmares collection, which is what we were going to talk about next, is we want to expand into the horror genre, and we've got a really wonderful introduction to horror written by our own Eugene Kelly, and we've got a collection of short stories. But the interesting thing was that everybody who wanted to send us a short story wanted to send us a sample out of something larger. And so what we're going to do is we're going to release that book in May as Introduction to the Nightmare. And we're going to invite all of those authors, which there are 5 of us, I think participating in that project, to talk about who they are as an author and why they chose this short story and what it represents that they might come back to and write more about later. And it will be our Introduction to the Nightmare. I'm sorry, I'm being messaged. Okay, Kat Haywood is letting us know that she's got to go. That's fine, Kat.
Sorry, guys. An absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Kat.
You guys are amazing. Good luck with all of it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your hard work with Big Damn Space Battles.
You are welcome. I'll see you later, guys.
Bye-bye. Maybe she had to go to the bathroom, too. I have this power.
She might have had to go to the park. Well, you know,
Or she may have a life.
You hear a whole lot of BS. Sometimes you just got to go and release what you got already.
Who's been BSing? I don't understand. All right, so we wrote this. we wrote these short stories. We asked people to write introductions, or we are going to ask people to write biographical introductions to the story to let people know who they are as an author and what the project is that they would like to bring to Nightmares, why they chose to add to the Nightmares collection. And that is going very well. We have all rough draft in-house. I requested one editorial change that I haven't seen yet, but I think that it's coming. And then we'll go to line edits, and we'll ask people for their biographies to go with those line edits. So that's very cool. And that's
when I see it.
That's when it will go to Tracy for line editing, yes. And we had somebody else drop out. We lost Eugene. Okay.
Eugene.
Eugene's been dropping out and coming back from time to time. It looks like he's having some technical problems. And then the other project that I was going to talk about is Dan's Origins project. Dan, since you are here, is there anything else that you would like to say about the Origins project, how it's going, what we can expect to see, anything at all?
Well, just like you and Tracy, I'm experimenting with advertising. So this will be my largest advertising effort for a book that I've released. And I'm going to Kirkus is kind of running it for me. And
who is?
Kirkus, the book review folks.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and of course they're a little bit. I actually have the marketing division of iUniverse going through them to do this project. But it's mostly an online project, and apparently what they do is they're going to target book buyers, so like librarians and bookstore owners and things like that are interested in science fiction, and they'll directly communicate with those folks, and then they will give them, if they're interested, free e-copies. I think 60 to 70 free e-copies. And then on top of that, I'll do my normal Goodreads stuff and all this other stuff. But so interesting to see how that advertising goes, and maybe we can build base up a little bit. So.
Excellent. On a sort of a related note, I took your recommendation on doing the Goodreads giveaway, and I did one for Alder's World 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put a link back to the Smashwords where we have that version for free. And they told me I couldn't do that, but that I could say for more offers and put a link. And I did that, and we're seeing a free copy move a little better than one every 2 days doing that. So I'm able to sort of watch the traffic that generates. And then, of course, we'll actually give away free signed copies at the end. But I ran that for like 90 days. So hopefully we'll traffic whatever that works out to. 50 or 60 copies off of that during that time frame. So
then the other thing I'm experimenting with is I'm going through 3 different review companies for Eclipse of Osiris C.
Okay.
And part of their thing is that not only will they do the review, but they'll post it in their magazines and put it up on their website.
Excellent.
So I'm playing around a little bit too, just trying to see if I can get a little bit more exposure out in the reading public. So.
Well, let's continue to have that conversation. We're at the point where we have a really pretty presentable universe. We've got books and games and a lot of visual materials to present to people, and learning how to do that effectively and make the most out of what we've got is definitely something that we want to learn to do at Dryden. So let's keep that conversation alive. I think I mentioned to you earlier we actually had a cost-neutral advertising experience. We got back what we advertised.
Yeah.
So that was the first time we'd managed that. So if you could ever get cost positive with your advertising, you'd advertise a lot because it'd make you more money. So. All right, well, kids, we have made it to the bottom of my list. The only thing that we haven't talked about at all is Alders 3, and there's not a whole lot to say about it. I could talk about the characters and the scenes that I'm writing. But that's coming in April, and after we release it in April, then I'm giving it to Kitty Sarkozy to do a redraft of, which will be very exciting. But not much to do but put words on paper with that project right now. So it is going well, but that's that. All right, so I am getting pretty close to turning off the broadcast and declaring us done for the week. Before I do, have we missed topics that folks wanted to talk about, or things that we should know or need to know or are important? Have we had exciting life events that anyone would like to report?
Well, there's one thing I actually want to mention.
Go for it.
One thing is that it's not connected with Dryden, but I'm involved with writing a story for a compilation. It's any genre, it can be poems, it can be whatever, of a compilation that will be
We lost you, Eugene. Are you with us, Eugene? Well, Eugene has gone away for a minute.
Wait, hold on.
He's working on. Whoop! He was back for a second.
Damn it! Can you hold on 1 second. Do you hear me right now?
I hear you right now.
Okay, it's a compilation of David Bowie, in memory of David Bowie, and
Yes.
all the What?
Yep. Go ahead. You're still
okay, and all the proceeds go towards cancer research.
That's an awesome project, and it reminded me of something else that happened in our world last week. Gavin sent us a piece of art that is a beautiful sort of meditative piece of art, and he asked if we would name it the planet Bowie 4716. And we thought that was absolutely awesome idea, and so we now have a planet somewhere in Lynn space near League Prime named Bowie 4716 in honor of the original astronaut. So very good. Excellent. Okay. That's awesome, Eugene. Anybody else? Life announcements in general? Anything? All right. I guess I'll wrap up then. A lot of you know that I'm in the middle of a gender transition, which is very exciting if you happen to be me, and not terribly exciting if you're anyone else on the planet. But the sort of very exciting thing that has happened is I am fully out at work. I have a name badge with my female name on it, and I go to work in dresses. So that's really wicked, and I want to say high praise for the Rasmussen University program. The president of the university sent me an email in support of what I was doing and getting behind me, and so that's really a beautiful and exciting thing, and the folks there on campus have been wonderful and tell me things like you really shouldn't wear that color, which is very helpful because I never really had much practice dressing like that. So all right, that's what's going on in my world, and that's really happy for me. So awesome for Rasmussen for being behind me, and for the Dryden folks who've known what's going on and who've all been tremendously supportive. So thanks to everybody on that. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and kill the live broadcast, and we are free to hang around and chat if folks would like to, but I think we've said as much as we could possibly say to the rest of the world. So everybody, thanks very much for joining us. This has been the Dryden Weekly Hangout. I'm Joel, Katie, and this is my hot pink bedroom with the big black polka dots. See you around the world.
No.